It's actually a breath of fresh air because usually the cities we're going to are so concentrated on the nightlife or the club experience or the Winter Music Conference. So coming here into Miami during Art Basel, the focus is on something else. And we're kind of actually like an added bonus. And I don't know, the last 2 or 3 years you've seen more and more music people coming. I don't know if they see the connection, or if they're just kind of taking advantage of it, but because I grew up with my brother Matthew, art and music was always kind of synonymous. We grew up and lived in a building for about 8 years together, and his art studio was kind of in between our house and my music studio. So I would walk through, see what was on the walls, go to my studio, make noise. The soundproofing wasn't so good, so as he's painting, he would hear what I'm doing. And so there was always a kind of unspoken discussion about what I was working on and what he was working on. And over the years, we did a lot of traveling together, and we started to have this kind of night and day creativity. What I mean by that is, in the daytime, we would go to art galleries, see Ellsworth Kelly, see Rothko, Anish Kapoor, and then at night we would go to these club experiences and see me play. Matthew was playing a little bit, Jeff Mills, Laurent Garnier, and so somehow it all kind of made sense to us. So when Matthew and I came here last year to Art Basel, we were like, we've got to do something more here. We've got to, one, show the people here what Matthew is doing on art, two, show what I'm doing on music, but also represent that kind of synchronicity and connection that we have taken for granted to the people at large. Well, the only reason I'm here, of course I have a gig tonight, but the only reason we book a gig is to be here, to kind of take it all in. So we were at Pulse today, we were at Art Basel today, we were at Art Miami today, and seeing kind of the blue chip art and at the same time seeing kind of the new galleries and the next famous artists kind of just gestating in their initial ideas is incredible. I don't understand why people see it as a different faculty. To me, seeing a painting on a wall, or especially a sculpture, why I'm so inspired by Anish Kapoor, his sculptures are actually kind of like frozen sonic, fragments. It's like you walk around and you're like, okay, now I'm kind of thinking about how my music or my frequencies or my notes could actually look in real life. So, it's just another form of how you take your emotions and ideas and bring it into the world. At one point you've got to kind of encapsulate it and give it to the people and say, okay, what do you think? A painting on the wall, a sculpture on the floor, a CD or a digital download. At the end, it's the same thing in the end. The fact that we were invited by the Guggenheim to do Plastikman live, in this incredible architectural location. We're talking about art and music, but we can also talk about architecture and music. It's all these things are a painting, a sculpture, an installation, a building. These are all kind of locked into time and space, just how we play with frequencies. So to think about that and go into the Guggenheim, to be inspired to make a site-specific work, which is what we did, was one of the most incredible experiences we've had. I say we because my whole team, that we come together to create a Plastikman live show. For me, it put me back in the studio and inspired me enough to just work on new material, and in about 5 days I created a new album. So that's actually interesting. You talk about the connectivity between architecture, art, and music. Music came out of me because of the opportunity to play in this beautiful architectural place that is actually renowned for art, not music. And now there's a new Plastikman album. So that's how close these mediums actually live together. But at the same time, the mass population sees them as completely different things. Well, that's what's actually interesting. Making music for the Guggenheim allowed me to take a step very far away from the dance floor. You know, when you're making music, I never really made music specifically for the club, but because I spent so much time the last couple of years in DJ Richie Hawtin mode, this Guggenheim possibility gave me a huge amount of freedom back. And all I had to do was create music that felt correct. I just made what I felt, and I knew in the context of a Guggenheim performance, in this place where people allow everything to come out on the walls, that I was free to do whatever I wanted. And I think that's why this album came out so quickly and easily. I've been trying to record the last 6 or 7 years, and each time I got into the studio, it was like, okay, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What do I feel? And it was always a little bit of a roadblock. But for that show, it was one of the easiest things I ever did.